Hello, I'm John, and this is Sandra.
Welcome to episode 3 of Not So Bad.
We're running the water maker for the first time. Here we are, this is the output. It would normally go to the tank. We're just having a little test. A bit better with whiskey in it. In episode 3, Winston the dog reports his hat missing to the police. After a tip-off, police say they're looking for a coloured woman with a dodgy South African accent who likes to hang around with yachties. If you know of the whereabouts of this woman, please call the number below.
John?
Morning, Sandra.
Well, tell me what's going on. Well, where are we? How did we get here?
Well, it's all a bit of a long story, but we thought perhaps we ought to explain why we're planning to set off around the world in a sailing boat. It goes way back to my youth, really. I've always enjoyed sailing. And when I was young, people like Sir Francis Chichester, Che Blythe and so on were sailing around the world and igniting my imagination and many other people's imagination. And it wasn't long before the round the world races started. I've forgotten, it was some beer or other. They had a race around the world. It's now the Vendée Globe has taken over. But it sort of fired up my imagination. Also, what's his name, on the Kontiki expeditions and his rafts, all of that fired up my imagination, and I thought that's what I want to do. I want to sail around the world. But it's always been something I was going to do after I retired. I'm now thinking actually it would have been better if I'd done this 20 years ago or something, but it's a bit too late for that now. But that's why I'm here, really. The story of how we specifically got here is a bit more different. I had been renting or hiring yachts from Sunsail for many years, on and off. I initially started with monohulls, but then moved on to catamarans quite quickly after a good friend of mine, Graham Creswell, invited me on a boys' holiday to the Caribbean, and we sailed around Antigua and Barbuda and Nevis and St Kitts and so on. Back in the late 90s, I think, mid to late 90s. And that made me realise that, much as I like monohulls, for comfort, you've got to have a catamaran. And Sunsail started up this program called their ownership program, where they sell you one of their yachts, monohulls and catamarans, but they offered me a catamaran, and it was what I was looking for. I generally sailed the 40-foot ones. We started, I think, on 38-foot and then moved up to 40-foot ones. But I always felt that they were just slightly too small. And on one holiday on a catamaran in Turkey, a couple pulled up beside us in a Sunsail 444, and they were owners, and they were sailing their yacht. And that sort of ignited my interest in the Sunsail ownership program. So to cut a long story short, back in 2017, Sunsail offered me this yacht Pimon to buy, but it was here in Thailand, which is a little bit out of the way perhaps, but on the other hand, at the time I was living in Abu Dhabi, and Europe is sort of 6.5-7 hours away, and Thailand is 6.5-7 hours away, so it didn't seem to make much difference really. And I thought I might come here on a regular basis to sail. It didn't work out that way for a number of reasons, but anyway, many people say, oh, you shouldn't buy an ex-charter yacht. Perhaps I was a little bit naive. in thinking that as an owner they would look after it a bit better, but actually I don't think they look after it any differently at all. That's rather a daft idea. But I have to say, despite my misgivings, the guys at Sunsail, particularly Ash, who's in charge now at Ipoh Marina here in Thailand, is doing a sterling job and fixing all the things pretty much that were thrown up by my surveyor, and also I had a rigging surveyor do the rigging, and there's a couple of issues with the rigging as well, and all of those are being dealt with. So anyway, that's we'll have to wait and see whether buying a second-hand charter yacht was a really daft idea or not. But anyway, that's why I'm here. What about you, Annie?
Wrapped up 15 years of my work in Abu Dhabi, and that's where John and I met. And in the beginning stages, I did hear with one ear that he wanted to sail the ocean, and I thought it sounded quite distant. That was in 2017. So I was quite happy to go with the venture, which looked like it's so far away. We're not sure when it will happen. However, it's on my doorstep now. I've retired about 1 month and 3 days ago, and John whisked me off, and I wrapped up 15 years of furniture and belongings, and here we are in Thailand,
But
in Kamala.
you've always enjoyed being on the water, haven't you? You like?
Oh yes, I'm in love with the water, but also I have a percentage of fear of the water. However, I believe the only way to overcome that is to actually get into the water, which I'm doing slowly but surely. And because we have sailed quite a few times in the last 3-4 years on the same catamaran that we currently going to set off in, so I kind of am familiar with the basics of how it works. So,
by the way, John, can we share the story how you got to the name of the yacht?
Yes. Those of you that were paying attention during episode 2 will have noticed that some of the time we talked about Pim On and some of the time we talked about Not So Bad. When I bought the yacht back in 2017 from Sunsail, she was called Pim On, obviously. I asked what the name meant, and they said it was a lady's name that didn't translate into English. And I immediately thought that's not a great name for a yacht, just some random Thai name. So my mind went back to my very good friend Klaus from Biberach in Germany. Way back we used to holiday adjacent to each other in Spain. He had a villa close to my parents' villa, and his kids are roughly the same age as mine. So he and Erica, and in fact Erica's sister Effie and Rudy and their 2 boys as well, would holiday with my 2 boys. And of a lunchtime we would retire, we chaps would retire for some German tea, and once the ice cold beers had been placed on the table, we would clink our glasses together and prost or salute each other, and Klaus would lean back in his chair and look out over the beach where the kids were fighting or trying to drown each other, and he would just nod his head a couple of times, and then he would say, "Not so bad, not so bad." And I thought, that's a good name for a yacht. And then I was holidaying with another good friend, sailing it actually, after I'd bought the yacht, with another good friend, Hoppy. Hi Hoppy, hi Claire, hope you're watching. And he was asking about the name of the yacht, and I told him the story that it was called Pim On, but I was going to call it Not So Bad. And he said, well, you have to spell it with a K. And I thought, absolutely right, we'll spell it with a K. So therein is the story. So that's the story of naming Not So Bad. And I raise not my glass, but I raise my beer in my nice personalised beer holder organised by my daughter-in-law Lynn and my son Callum. Thank you very much for these, and we'll drink to Not So Bad. Although there was a great deal of work still going on the yacht, Sandra and I were very busy buying various items that we deemed to be essential for our trip.
Hi John, can you tell me what's been happening? What is that piece of equipment you have in your hand? Can you brief me, please?
Certainly. This is one of the pieces of safety equipment that we've been buying. This is what's called an EPIRB.
Can you face it to the camera, please? Okay.
This is one of the most modern ones, fitted with GPS and a 121.5 transmitter as well. And this will be mounted somewhere in the boat, in the yacht, in this bracket which is attached to it just now. So we're mounted on the wall, and if we have to abandon ship, or even if we don't have to abandon ship but we require rescuing, then we take it out of its mounting and we deploy the beacon. It is one of the most modern ones, as I say. It is manually activated or activated in contact with seawater as well, with water. So worst comes to the worst, we just jump into the water with it and it will be activated. So it's registered to the yacht, so the signal that this sends out will identify the beacon as belonging to our yacht, and they will know it's us, as opposed to just an emergency signal. So that's the first piece of equipment.
We're learning. And another piece of equipment I see you purchased.
Yes,
brief me on that as well.
This
Looks awfully heavy.
rather heavy piece of kit is called a Dan buoy, and basically it will be mounted on the rail in a holder, and you just take it out and you sling it in the water. It's a man overboard aid, and you sling it in the water as close to the person as possible, but try not to hit them because this is seriously heavy. It's 4 kilos or something, or 5 kilos or something. It automatically inflates, and when it inflates it provides let's see if I can find it in the box here. It provides a 2 meter tall kind of tube with an extra couple of meters of ribbon on it that float in the wind. It also has some straps that you can hold on to provide extra flotation. I mean, hopefully if we fall in the water we'll be wearing our life jackets, which we haven't bought yet, but nonetheless we'll be wearing our life jackets. And it has a bright flashing light, as does the EPIRB beacon. That's got a bright flashing light, I didn't mention that. And it's got this 6 foot tall, 2 meter tall ribbon thing that sticks up above the waves to make it easier to see the person. The combination of that, and we also have man overboard devices, which we'll be wearing, man overboard devices, which work through the AIS system on the yacht. So they will hopefully, between the two of them, allow us to rescue the person who's fallen in the water.
So SOS Dan Boy will definitely save my life, is that correct?
Well, there are no guarantees.
Oops, now you tell me.
The Australians wouldn't provide a guarantee, but it is an aid to rescue, an aid to helping a rescue. And it is very highly recommended in many forums and so on. I've seen it for a long time, and I've been planning to buy one of these all along, and now we have. We bought it yesterday, I think.
We are prepared.
Yes.
Correct, John?
Yes, I mean, the slightly galling thing is that all these are really quite expensive, and I hope never to use them. So there we go.
Well, that's a very good point, Very good point.
I'm too Scottish, but anyway.
Very Scottish, but he's paid a lot of money for SOS Dan Boy, who's just going to sit there and be on the ride just in case.
And Mr. EPIRB
Mr. Ephraim. Okay. Good afternoon, John. What's happening here?
Well, I'm trying to mount our flagpole. This, I struggled to get a flagpole, and to cut a very long story short, there's a wood yard, timber yard, around the corner from where we live, and I went in there thinking that it would be quite easy to get them to make a flagpole. Unfortunately, they didn't speak any English, so that made it a bit more difficult. But even so, I was able to explain that I wanted a round, circular section flagpole, and it had to fit in this fishing rod holder, which was the only thing I could find to mount it on. And I wanted a cap on the end, sort of thing, as well, to stop the rain. Blah blah blah. So to cut a very long story short, this is what I ended up with. It was a bit sadder looking than it is now. It's been stained, 3 coats of stain.
Stained by who?
My own, very own hands.
Oh, handyman, super handyman we have
3
here.
times with sanding in between. And now it's had 4 coats of varnish with sanding in between as well. Now I realise it's not going to win any prizes at the school woodwork competition, but nonetheless I quite like it now. It's kind of rustic, and one of my compatriots from Monarch Airlines was worried about us not being armed, and I've sort of thought, this is the business, I could just do it, but then I just don't want Sandra to get a hold of it either. My head in it.
Hey, John, what have you been up to? Wow, wow, wow. You're not just a
Just a
handyman.
pretty face.
You're a super handyman. That is amazing work.
Quite pleased with that.
Yeah.
All
Beautifying it.
All we need now is for the Thai authorities to deregister the yacht from their register so that we can fly the ensign legally. So anyway,
And then-
there we go. Another job done.
Another.
So here we are back at Red Mountain Golf Club. We found the place a few weeks ago now, but now we're back to play. And we've picked, I think, the hottest day since we've been here, certainly the sunniest day. Yesterday it was beautifully cool, quite cloudy, but nice and cool, good breeze. Today it's hot without a breath of wind. So here we are on the 8th. I didn't recognise it. This is the bit of cart path that we came down when we were looking for the golf club. We came down here and round there and up to the club where we sat and had a couple of beers. But this is it. This is the 8th. Sorry, the 9th. This is the 9th. This was following Mr. Google Maps.
Jesus Christ, John. I'm having a panic attack and he's just thinking it's funny, and this is a one-way in the opposite direction.
Where are we, honey?
We're at
hole now. Just have a look at this.
Wow.
Amazing.
And this is what it looks like from the other end. This is the green sanders by the pin, and the tees are way, 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 way up there.
Tell them where your ball is.
My ball is somewhere in there. My second is down here. Sandra's went in there as well, but ricocheted out. It ricocheted out.
This is a bit of a weather change today. It is storming. I hope our little car doesn't blow away. Hey, John, what's happening now?
Okay, Sandra, we're just going to test this bilge pump. This is an insurance requirement to have a spare bilge pump that we can put to anywhere in the boat, but obviously down in the hulls. And I've connected a long wire from this DC socket I've had installed, and we have the bilge pump out here in a bucket of water, and the pipe is going to go over the side. This is a 2,000 gallons an hour bilge pump, and hopefully it's going to work. Go on then, Sandra, hit the switch.
I'll hit the switch now.
Nope, not good.
Action.
And we'll way at the end.
You're doing good. Testing.
Yeah.
Testing's going well.
I don't know if you can see the water level in there, but it's just coming down to the level of the bilge pump now. The kinks in this pipe, I had some trouble getting decent pipe. The kinks in the pipe make it less efficient. But here we go, just coming down to the bottom now. And it's empty.
Oh, that's
So Sandra, if you switch it off, please.
yeah, John, great job connecting up that electric. Off we go.
Excellent. So that's one job done. And behold, we have radar. Yeah, it is. Have to learn how to fiddle with this. I don't know what we do. So, after a little bit of a fiddle, the forestay and the foil are coming down. The forestay is going to be replaced because the fitment at the end has got some rust in it. It looks like a crack in it. So to be sure, they're going to. It's being replaced. Perhaps we can have a close look at this fitment. Busy day here. We've also got Mother who's put on our new blinds on the side, which are looking great. Gives us a bit more privacy inside. And replaces the ones that were supposed to be here. The ones that were originally on were grey. To be honest, they weren't so pretty, but they had disappeared, so we've had some new ones made. Okay, so we've returned to the yacht today. It's Monday, the 23rd, I think, of August, and lo and behold, the forestay and the furler have been replaced in position for being replaced. The furler itself has the furler itself has been put back on the forestay. The diamonds, the end pieces of the diamonds that were slightly questionable have been polished up and NDT tested, and they've all come out fine. So that is good. Jai, the rigger, has done all this work, and he's put on a mast step for me as I requested. can see just there by that rope on the right hand side of the mast as we look at it. So here it is, at long last.
Yeah, the next stage is upon us. The baggage has arrived. We will get the surprise once we open it up. Most important, the golf
Clubs have arrived,
We've
yes.
been waiting for the luggage for 8 days, but alhamdulillah, we say alhamdulillah. We shall see what happens inside.
Yes,
If everything is there, and then we'll keep you updated, right, John?
Ashton Bassett soon. Thank you for watching episode 3 of Not So Bad. Please like, subscribe and hit the bell. And join us in episode 4 when I have to go up the mast. We discover a leak. We had this nice canvas that we paid quite a lot of money for to protect us from the rain, but this isn't a design fault of the canvas, it's a design fault of the yacht. So Robertson Kane, I hope you're watching.